Detroit, Michigan, Navin Field, August 18th, 1924, Monday afternoon. Second base. 2 outs. Ruth is sliding. Ty Cobb is coming. Both want the ball. Neither backing down. The collision is inevitable. But this is not a normal collision. Cobb's shoes are special. Metal spikes, sharp, dangerous, like weapons. Cobb's leg is in the air. Spikes aimed at Ruth's leg. Slash! Leather tears. Blood spurts. Ruth hits the ground. Cobb stands above him, smiling. "Welcome to the big leagues, rookie," he says. Walks away from the scene. But Ruth is getting up, slowly, painfully, looking at his bleeding leg, then looking at Cobb. And Cobb sees something in that look, something he never wanted to see. Not anger, a promise of retaliation. Everyone fears Ty Cobb, players, umpires, fans, even owners. Cobb has been playing baseball for 18 years, and for 18 years he has been hurting people, intentionally. He sharpens his spikes before games, files them to razor points. When he slides, he raises his legs. He aims, he cuts, he injures. 37 players have been wounded by Cobb's spikes. Some lost their careers, some were never the same, but none of them retaliated. Because retaliating against Ty Cobb means suicide. Cobb does not just fight back. He destroys. He ends careers. He ruins lives. So players learned to stay away. Learned to let Cobb have his way. Learned to accept the cuts, the blood, the scars as the price of playing against the Georgia Peach. But Babe Ruth never learned that lesson. And today, August 18th, 1924, Ty Cobb is about to discover what happens when you spike someone who does not understand fear. The Yankees arrived in Detroit 3 days earlier, August 15th, Thursday. The rivalry between Yankees and Tigers is already intense, but this series feels different, feels dangerous. During batting practice on Thursday, Cobb walks past Ruth, says loud enough for everyone to hear, "I heard you can hit home runs. Can you take a punch?" Ruth stops, turns, looks at Cobb. "Can you?" Ruth asks back. Cobb smiles. "We'll find out soon enough, fat boy." The tension is immediate. Teammates separate them. The umpires warn both dugouts. No fighting, no violence. Play the game. But everyone knows something is coming. You can feel it in the air. The way Cobb stares at Ruth during warm-ups. The way Ruth grips his bat a little tighter. This is not just baseball. This is personal. Friday, August 16th, Game 1. Yankees win 6-4. Ruth hits a home run, his 35th of the season. As he rounds third base, he looks directly at Cobb in center field, tips his cap, not respectfully, mockingly. Cobb's face turns red. After the game, reporters ask Cobb about Ruth's home run. "Home runs are for circus acts," Cobb says. "Real baseball is about hitting singles, stealing bases, playing smart. Ruth is just a fat man swinging hard. Any idiot can do that." The quote makes the newspapers. Ruth reads it the next morning, laughs, tells his teammates, "Cobb's just jealous. He's old, slow. His time is over and he knows it." The insult gets back to Cobb within hours. Saturday, August 17th. Game 2. Tigers win 5-3. Ruth goes 0 for 4. Strikes out twice. Cobb goes 3 for 4. 2 stolen bases. After the game, Cobb walks past the Yankees' dugout. "Nice strikeouts, fat boy. Maybe stick to eating hot dogs." Ruth jumps to his feet. Has to be held back by Lou Gehrig and 3 other teammates. "Let me go," Ruth yells. "I'll break his face." Cobb laughs, walks away. That night, Ruth cannot sleep. He is furious, humiliated. Cobb has gotten under his skin, made him look weak, made him look stupid. Ruth has never been this angry. never felt this need for revenge. He lies in his hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Monday's game, thinking about what he is going to do to Ty Cobb. Monday, August 18th, Game 3, the final game of the series. The stadium is packed. 28,000 fans, most of them here to see the Ruth versus Cobb showdown. The tension from the weekend has been building. Everyone knows something is going to happen. Newspaper headlines that morning read, "Ruth and Cobb set for final showdown." Will violence erupt at Navin Field? Two giants clash in Detroit finale. The umpires gather both teams before the game, make it clear. Any fighting results in immediate ejection and suspension. Both teams nod, but nobody believes it will matter. When men like Ruth and Cobb decide to fight, no threat of punishment stops them. First inning. Ruth comes to bat. Cobb is playing center field, moving closer than normal, trying to get in Ruth's head. Ruth ignores him, focuses on the pitcher. First pitch, fastball, outside, ball 1. Second pitch, curveball. Ruth swings, connects. The ball rockets toward center field. Line drive. Cobb has to run backward. Fast. He catches it. Barely. Nearly falls, but stays on his feet. Holds up the ball. Shows Ruth. "Nice try." "Fat boy," Cobb yells, "but you're still out." Ruth says nothing, just turns and jogs back to the dugout. But his teammates see his face, see the rage building. Lou Gehrig leans over. "Don't let him get to you, Babe. He's just trying to make you angry." "He succeeded," Ruth says quietly. Second inning. Tigers batting. Cobb leads off. He singles to right field. Clean hit. Stands on first base. The next batter grounds to short. Easy double play ball. But Cobb is running. Not just running. Sprinting. He is not trying to break up the double play normally. He is trying to hurt someone. The Yankees' shortstop throws to second base. The second baseman catches it, steps on the bag. Ruth is covering second base as backup. He is standing 5 feet from the bag, just in case. Cobb sees him, changes direction. Instead of sliding into second base, Cobb slides directly at Ruth. His spikes are up, aimed, targeted. Ruth sees it coming, tries to move. Too late. Cobb's right spike catches Ruth's left shin just above the ankle. The metal tears through Ruth's uniform, through his sock, through his skin, into the muscle. The sound is sickening, like ripping fabric, but wetter, bloodier. Ruth goes down, hard, falls onto his back. Cobb slides past him, pops up onto his feet, stands over Ruth. "That's real baseball, rookie," Cobb says. Then walks toward the Tigers' dugout like nothing happened. Ruth is on the ground, blood is pooling around his leg, soaking into the dirt. His white uniform pants are turning red. The umpires rush over. The Yankees' trainer runs from the dugout. Lou Gehrig drops to his knees next to Ruth. "Babe, are you okay? Can you move?" Ruth is not answering. He is staring at his leg, at the blood, at the 8-inch gash running from his ankle to his knee. The spike cut deep. Muscle tissue is visible. The pain is overwhelming, white-hot, burning. But Ruth is not screaming, not crying, not showing weakness. He is just breathing, hard, fast, through clenched teeth. The trainer examines the wound. His hands are shaking. In 15 years as a team trainer, he has never seen a spike wound this bad. The cut is deep, very deep. He can see muscle fibers, can see tendons. The blood is not just flowing, it is pumping, rhythmic, with Ruth's heartbeat. "We need to get you to the hospital," he says, his voice cracking slightly. "This needs stitches, maybe 20 or 30. You might have nerve damage, tendon damage. You could lose mobility in this leg if we don't treat it immediately. You're done for the day. You're done for the week. No, Ruth says. His voice is steady, calm, terrifying in its control. I'm not leaving. Babe, you're bleeding. You can't play like this. You'll make it worse. You could end your career. The trainer is practically begging now. Ruth sits up, slowly. The movement sends fresh waves of blood down his leg. It pools in his shoe, overflows, drips onto the dirt, creating dark spots, dark wet circles. The infield dirt drinks it, absorbs it. Ruth looks at his leg, really looks at it. The wound is grotesque. The edges are ragged, torn rather than cut. The spike did not slice cleanly. It ripped, tore, destroyed. Ruth reaches down, touches the wound. His fingers come away red, dripping. He looks at the blood on his fingers. Then he looks at the trainer. Wrap it, tape it, I don't care. I'm not leaving this field until I finish what Cobb started. The trainer looks at the Yankees manager, Miller Huggins. Huggins has walked onto the field now, standing behind the trainer, looking down at Ruth. Huggins sees the wound, sees the blood, sees the determination in Ruth's eyes. Huggins is a small man, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 140 pounds. But he understands men, understands what drives them, understands when arguing is pointless. He sees something in Ruth's eyes, something that says arguing is not just pointless, it is dangerous. Wrap it, Huggins says quietly. The trainer wants to protest, wants to explain the medical risks, the infection risks, the career risks. But he knows Miller Huggins, knows that tone. That is the tone that ends discussions. Wrap it, Huggins repeats. The trainer nods, opens his medical bag, pulls out bottles, bandages, tape, scissors. The trainer works fast, pours alcohol on the wound. Ruth doesn't flinch, wraps it tight with gauze. Tape, more gauze, more tape. It looks like Ruth's entire lower leg is mummified, but the bleeding stops, mostly. Ruth stands up, tests the leg, winces, but stays standing. I'm good, he says. Get me back in the game. The umpires approach. Mr. Ruth, we can give you time to recover. We can delay. No delay, Ruth interrupts. Let's play. The umpires look at each other, shrug. Play ball, one of them announces. The game resumes. Ruth stays on the field, limping, bleeding through the bandages, but playing. Cobb is in the Tigers' dugout, laughing, talking to his teammates, pointing at Ruth, making jokes. The Tigers players are laughing too. This is Cobb's world, his rules. He spiked the great Babe Ruth and got away with it, got rewarded for it. This is the old way of baseball, the violent way, the way that says, if you are not willing to hurt people, you do not belong. Ruth is in the Yankees' dugout, not sitting, standing, leaning against the wall, staring at Cobb, not blinking, not looking away, just staring. Lou Gehrig approaches him. Babe, what are you going to do? I'm going to hit, Ruth says. That's not what I mean. Ruth turns to Gehrig. I know what you mean, and you'll see. Third inning. Yankees batting. Ruth is up. He walks to the plate. Slowly. His leg is throbbing. Every step is agony. Blood is seeping through the bandages, dripping onto his sock. But he does not stop, does not show pain, just walks. The crowd goes silent. 28,000 people watching this wounded man approach the batter's box. Some are Yankees fans, cheering, hoping, wanting revenge. Some are Tigers fans, booing, mocking, enjoying Ruth's suffering. But all of them are watching. Because everyone knows this at-bat matters. This is not just about hitting a baseball. This is about dignity, about pride, about refusing to be broken. Ruth steps into the box. The Tigers' pitcher, Earl Whitehill, one of the hardest throwers in the league, is on the mound. He looks at Ruth, looks at the blood-soaked bandage, knows Ruth is hurt, knows this is an easy out. First pitch, fastball, high and inside, brushback pitch, trying to intimidate Ruth. Ruth does not move, lets it pass. Ball 1, second pitch, curveball, outside. Ball 2. Whitehill is being careful, does not want to give Ruth anything good to hit. Third pitch, fastball, low. Ruth swings, misses, strike 1. The crowd erupts, Tigers fans loving it, Yankees fans groaning. Cobb is in center field, clapping, yelling. "Strike out, fat boy, go sit down." Fourth pitch, change up. Ruth swings, makes contact, but weak. Ground ball to second base. Easy out. Ruth runs, or tries to run. His leg gives out halfway to first base. He stumbles, falls, gets up, keeps going. But he is out by 10 feet. The Tigers' first baseman catches the throw. Steps on the bag. Ruth is out. Cobb is laughing, visible laughter, bending over, slapping his knee. This is the funniest thing he has ever seen. The great Babe Ruth, bleeding, limping, falling, failing. This is what Cobb wanted. This is victory. But the game continues, and Ruth stays on the field. Fourth inning, fifth inning, sixth inning. Ruth does not come to bat. The Yankees go down in order each inning. Ruth stands in right field, barely moving, just standing there, bleeding, suffering, waiting. The Tigers players keep mocking him, yelling insults. "Go to the hospital, Ruth. You're done. Cobb owns you." Ruth says nothing, does nothing, just stands and waits. Seventh inning, Yankees batting. Ruth is due up, third in the order. The first 2 batters get on base. Now Ruth is walking to the plate. The crowd noise is deafening, half cheering, half booing. Ruth's leg is barely functioning. The bandage is completely red now, soaked through. His sock is red. His shoe is red. There is a trail of blood drops behind him as he walks. The home plate umpire stops him. "Mr. Ruth, this is getting serious. You need medical attention." "After this at-bat," Ruth says. Whitehill is on the mound again. Looking nervous now. Ruth is injured, yes. But he is also angry, and angry Ruth is dangerous, unpredictable. First pitch, fastball, outside, ball 1. Second pitch, inside, ball 2. Whitehill is scared to throw strikes, scared to give Ruth anything to hit. Third pitch, down the middle, perfect pitch. Ruth swings, misses, strike 1. Tigers' dugout erupts in celebration. Cobb is standing on the top step, pointing at Ruth, laughing. Fourth pitch, curveball, outside, ball 3, full count, 3-2. Everything on this pitch. Whitehill winds up, throws, fastball, middle in. Should be unhittable given Ruth's condition. But Ruth sees it. His eyes lock on the ball. His body moves, automatic, instinctive. Hips rotate, hands come through. Bat meets ball. The sound is different. Cleaner, purer, louder. The ball explodes off Ruth's bat, rising, screaming, heading toward center field. Heading toward Ty Cobb. If you're watching this story unfold and want to see what happens next, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion of this legendary rivalry. And tell me in the comments, would you have stayed in the game like Ruth did, or would you have gone to the hospital? Let me know your thoughts. Cobb turns, runs, tries to track the ball, but it is too high, too far, too perfect. The ball sails over his head, over the fence, over the wall, over everything. Home run, 3-run home run. Ruth has just hit a home run on one leg. While bleeding, while suffering, while proving that Ty Cobb made the worst mistake of his life. Ruth does not run the bases. He limps, slowly, deliberately, taking his time, letting everyone see, letting everyone understand. You can spike him, You can cut him. You can make him bleed. But you cannot stop him. As he rounds first base, he looks at Cobb. Cobb is standing in center field, not moving, not laughing anymore, just standing there, watching, understanding. Ruth rounds second base, the place where Cobb spiked him, where his blood still stains the dirt. He stops, stands on the base. Ruth continues. Third base, home plate. His teammates are waiting. They mob him, careful not to touch his injured leg, slapping his shoulders, his back, shouting, celebrating. But Ruth is not celebrating. He is looking at the Tigers' dugout, looking at Cobb. Cobb has walked off the field, gone into the dugout, disappeared. The game continues. Tigers do not score again. Yankees win 4-2. Ruth's home run is the difference. After the game, Ruth finally agrees to go to the hospital. The wound is cleaned, stitched, 27 stitches total. The doctor is amazed Ruth played through it. This injury should have sidelined you for weeks, the doctor says. Most men would have passed out from the pain. Ty Cobb is not most men, Ruth says, and neither am I. The story spreads across the country. Newspapers run it on the front page. Ruth homers after Cobb's vicious spike. Wounded Babe defeats Tigers. Ruth's revenge, home run on one leg. Radio announcers talk about it for weeks. The story grows, gets embellished. Some versions say Ruth hit 2 home runs. Some say the spike cut to the bone. Some say Ruth challenged Cobb to a fistfight after the game. But the core truth remains. Ty Cobb spiked Babe Ruth. And Ruth responded by hitting a home run while bleeding. That is not legend. That is fact. That is what 28,000 witnesses saw. That is what happened on August 18, 1924, in Detroit, at Navin Field. The day Babe Ruth proved he was more than just a power hitter. He was a warrior, a fighter, someone who would not be intimidated, would not be broken, would not be stopped, not by spikes, not by blood, not by pain, not by Ty Cobb. The relationship between Ruth and Cobb never recovers. They play against each other for 3 more years, until Cobb retires in 1928. Every game is tense. Every interaction is hostile. But Cobb never spikes Ruth again, never tries that move again. Because Cobb learned something that day, learned that some men cannot be hurt the way others can. Some men turn pain into fuel, turn injury into motivation, and turn violence into vengeance. Babe Ruth was one of those men, and Ty Cobb, for all his toughness, for all his meanness, for all his violence, was smart enough to never forget it. In later years, after both men retire, reporters ask Cobb about the spiking incident. Cobb always gives the same answer. It was just baseball, he says, just part of the game, nothing personal. But those who were there that day know the truth. It was personal, very personal, and Cobb lost. Not on the scoreboard, not in the statistics, but in the way that matters most. He tried to break Babe Ruth, and Ruth hit a home run in response. That is the story. That is the truth. That is what happened when Ty Cobb made the mistake of thinking Babe Ruth could be intimidated. The spike left a scar, 8 inches long, running down Ruth's left leg. He carried that scar for the rest of his life, never tried to hide it, never was ashamed of it. In fact, he showed it off. At parties, at events, at baseball clinics, he would roll up his pant leg, point to the scar, and tell the story of the day Ty Cobb spiked him, and the story of what he did next. Cobb thought he was teaching me a lesson, Ruth would say. But the only lesson that day was this: you can hurt me, but you cannot stop me. And if you try, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. That scar became a badge of honor, proof that Babe Ruth was not just a slugger, not just a showman, not just a celebrity. He was a ball player, a real, tough, unbreakable ball player who played through pain and delivered when it mattered most. The home run he hit that day was not his longest, not his most famous, not the one historians talk about most. But to those who understand baseball, who understand the old rivalries, who understand what it meant to be spiked by Ty Cobb and survive, that home run is sacred. It represents everything baseball used to be: the violence, the toughness, the refusal to quit, the absolute determination to prove that you belong, that you cannot be broken, that you are more than your reputation. You are what you do when everything is against you. August 18th, 1924. Ty Cobb's spikes tore through Babe Ruth's leg. Blood soaked into the dirt of second base. The crowd gasped. The players worried. The trainers rushed to help. But Ruth stood up, wrapped the wound, stayed in the game, and hit a home run. That is not just a sports story. That is a life lesson about responding to violence with excellence, about refusing to be a victim, about proving that the people who try to hurt you only make you stronger. Ty Cobb was one of the greatest players in baseball history, but on that day he was wrong. Wrong to think Babe Ruth could be intimidated. Wrong to think a spike would end the rivalry. Wrong to think he could break the spirit of a man who had been doubted and underestimated his entire life. Babe Ruth was called too fat, too slow, too undisciplined, but he became the greatest hitter in baseball. He was spiked by Ty Cobb, but he hit a home run. He was told he could not play through pain, but he did. Every time someone tried to define Babe Ruth by his limitations, he responded by showing what he could do. And that, more than any home run record, more than any championship, more than any statistic, is why Babe Ruth is remembered. Not because he was perfect, but because when people tried to break him, he became unbreakable. The spike scar on his leg was proof that he bled, proof that he hurt, proof that he was human, but also proof that being human does not mean being weak. It means fighting through the pain, standing up when knocked down, hitting home runs when everyone expects you to quit. That is the legacy. That is the lesson. That is what happened on August 18th, 1924, when Babe Ruth was spiked by Ty Cobb and fell to the ground. He got up, he stayed in the game, and he hit a home run that Ty Cobb will never forget.